All right. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Jay Freedom, and I am the author of We Out, How to End Our Abusive Relationship with America, Volume 1. It's part of a three-part series. And be real with y'all, I just hadn't had time to do the other ones yet. I'm an educator as well, and this online remote work and stuff, I don't have time to do anything else, but we'll get to that another time. I created this channel to help promote our exodus from a country that has no intention of treating us as equals. And when I say that, uh, you look at how we've been a victim of it for over 400 years, how uh, we've basically exhausted every method to try to gain equality. Um, they give us a few crumbs here and there, and then it's back to where square one. We're having issues and drama and Jim Crow 2.0, all of this stuff. So realistically, you got three options. You can stay and fight a losing battle. You can continue, um, make your peace with your place in the United States, or you can leave on your own terms. There are 196 recognized nations on the planet, and you can get in a lot of them with just your passport without a visa requirement. I talk about that in my book as well. I provide resources on how to get expungements, how to get passports, how to help start your research and all that. And I'll be doing this on this YouTube channel as well to help get you started and point you in the right direction so you too can help make your exodus. Now, you may notice that I have on sunglasses. All right. Well, that's just to block the haters out. Nah, I'm just playing. I have light sensitivity, and as you can see the reflection in my glasses, I got a ring light on because my melanin be popping so much so they don't show up if I don't have my ring light on. So I got that to kind of block that light out. So yeah, that's what that's about. Plus, it's just cool. It's a little, a little fly. So anyway, I wanted to tell you my story. So, and I got my little notes on the side, y'all, so don't judge me. So I am from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I was there when Alton Sterling got killed. I was out there marching and protesting, all of that stuff. Girl, I'm old. I look young, but I'm getting up there. Got back problems, all that stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm blowing my back out, doing all this hiking and stuff. Ain't nothing happening. So I started thinking about stuff. I started also piecing together other things as well. I'm also a historian as well. I have my bachelor's and my master's in history. History for my bachelor's and social sciences with history concentration for my master's. But a culmination of events from undergrad experiences I dealt with in grad school after I graduated and couldn't find a job, and the constant discrimination and all this stuff. And I'm just like, something's got to give. I did what they told me to do. Something's got to shake. And then it just one day it dawned on me when I was outside walking, marching in the heat, that method was basically played out, and we needed like other options because they're gonna keep doing it. That was several years ago. This happened like in 2016. So here we are. It's 2021 now. We had the presidency of 45. We had 4 years of that. We had the wrap up of 44, and now we got 46 that's in there now. History was made with that election, but y'all know the game. Another thing too is to think about is that neither one of them have our interests at heart, either party. So part of that is also acknowledging, that's part of the exodus as well, is acknowledging that nothing's going to change. They show up during election time. They come to your church, go to the old folks' home, all of that good stuff. But anyway, we'll get into that another time. So I moved to Mexico. So we came on a scouting mission in 2017. Fast forward a little bit from that election and my findings, and realizing that history is literally repeating itself. Um, my wife and I, and yes, I'm LGBT, the Rainbow Fam, TQI, all of that. I'm you know, I'm, I'm older. I'm still learning the new additions to the acronym. Anyway, we came in 2017 on a scouting mission. We'd gone to a couple of places. We wanted completely out of the United States. We looked at other places like Puerto Rico, like Hawaii. We knew it was too expensive to visit. Nobody would come visit, blah, blah, blah. And then we wanted completely out of the United States. So we had started researching Mexico, Central America, briefly had Australia on the short list, briefly had Ghana, Senegal on the short list, but that whole LGBT thing, it might not fare out too well for us in certain locations. So we came on down to Mexico, and we like to stay in Airbnbs, so we get a feel of the neighborhood and see what's up. I've also, just a little side note, I've also been featured as a guest speaker on different panels over the past few years since I released my book, different interviews discussing my book and my theories and things of that nature. But so you may hear this as you start your research on your Exodus journey and run across other videos that I may be featured on and other people discussing those things. But one of the things that we noticed was the dogs were happy. The dogs are running around and they just happy. Somebody feed them and just come by, and nobody bothered us. And so that was something that kind of stuck. Like, they kind of like everything was cool, and we had never really experienced where nobody was bothering us, if that makes sense. So anyway, this was December 2017, and we went back home on the day that we were leaving. We were at the airport, and we were like, we don't want to go back home. We don't want to go back home. We want to stay here. And we were like, yo, we got to figure out how we're going to move here. We had no plan on how. Like I said, we started researching. We knew we wanted to leave. We didn't know how we were going to make that happen, but we had at least started on it, finding out about jobs and things like that. But at that point, neither one of us had a job in Mexico or something, that we would have to quit our U.S. jobs. And so we went back home, and then we decided that we're going to give ourselves 6 months to get out. The final straw was the paper towels. Y'all remember Hurricane Maria, when 45 was throwing the paper towels, like pitching them like football to the people in Puerto Rico? It's like, yo, that is just absolutely disgusting. Being from Louisiana, we know what those folks go through. We taking a little trip out there shortly after. We had some friends that lived out there, dropped off supplies and aqua tabs, like water purification tablets, sanitary items, things of that nature, stuff that people forget about. So, sunscreen, insect repellent, gift cards, we're taking donations and stuff like that. And had sponsors that took care of that. So shout out to them for helping out the people in Puerto Rico. But we were like, we're just done. We're just done. We see where this is going, and we didn't want any part of that. One of the things about being a historian is that you are trained to identify historical patterns and trends. And what I was deciphering, it did not look too good, and it frightened me enough for me to get a game plan and get out and start encouraging other people that I knew to do something, or make a decision what they were going to do. That was, we weren't even thinking about no pandemic or none of that. But anyway, so we ended up moving. We gave ourselves 6 months. We ended up moving like 7 months and 3 days after we had planned it. So we ended up moving in July of 2018, July 3rd, 2018. That was our Independence Day. We still celebrate it even now, like, July 3rd of every year is our Mexiversary of the date that we moved to Mexico. And before, my wife had started transitioning to location independent work, meaning that she works online and she can literally pick up and go anywhere. So if we happen to be on a trip or something, as long as she's got Wi-Fi, she can work. Um, I'll also be leaving some of the uh, referral codes in the comments. Not in the comments, underneath the title and all of that stuff on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, you can. Uh, she teaches English online. I physically work at a school locally, and we ended up moving to Cancun. And so, um, of course, with the pandemic, we're working remotely, but um, I still work at the local school. Um, let's see. Something else I want to tell you. All right, so we've been here for 3 years. I do have temporary residency. It's one of the things that you have to think about, like if you need to brush up on skills, especially thinking about now with the pandemic. Now people see that they have options. They're not stuck at being in a cubicle all day. And not only that, but you had 600,000 people that lost their lives to the coronavirus. You have I don't even know the exact number on the amount of people who just left the workforce because they, for whatever reason, they had to take care of sick family members. They had to take care of child care because a lot of, the child care situations were closed. And so they didn't have anywhere to take the kids, so they can't go to work because they don't have anybody to watch the kids because the kids aren't in school. And, it's just a never-ending cycle. And some people just found that, their lives were so much better. They don't have to deal with the microaggressions of physically being in the office, the exhaustion of having to physically get up and get ready and, put your game face on and think about, how you're going to wear your hair and your commute to and from work and just the exhaustion of all of that, picking up the kids, ripping around and back and forth, soccer games, football practice, dance practice, track, blah, 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 blah. So people are realizing that, that they don't have to physically go into work. And that changes the game because what was before seen as, a luxury for people with high paying jobs, the average Joe can now get a remote job and, move to a place that has a low cost of living as long as they have an internet connection. Places like Mexico, places like Central America, places like places in, South America. And that includes, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. There's a lot of African Americans all over the place. All over Latin America, all over Asia, a lot of African Americans in Thailand, a lot of African Americans in Vietnam. So it's a lot of places on the planet that you can live for a fraction of the cost. And that was another thing that pushed us and drove us because we saw the writing on the wall. So we wanted to be able to have a decent life. We're not working, killing ourselves, trying to maintain, basic survival things, things like housing where you're paying $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month, for mortgage, for rent, for whatever. That's just housing. That's not counting feeding yourself or, your other bills can cover everything from car notes to furniture to healthcare to you name it. And so I always tell people, and that's a common theme that you're going to see as you conduct your research, as you plan your exodus, is that a lot of the world, in a lot of places across the globe, you can live for a fraction of the cost. If you spend at least $1,000, $1,000 on housing alone in the United States, you can live quite well elsewhere. But you also have to change your mindset. You also have to realize and open your mind and open your eyes to the reality that is the United States. Everything isn't like what we've been brought up and told. You know, there's a lot of propaganda that has been a long-term propaganda campaign that has been spun to turn the rest of the world into these grimy places that you don't want to go see. You're gonna, you know, it's scary. You know, I encourage you to do your research. I highly, highly encourage you to do your research. Um, and or go visit these places. I know it's a lot more difficult uh, given the employment situation in the United States at this point, or unemployment for that matter. Also, um, the inability to travel to a lot of places as well, you know, with the vaccines and all this stuff. So I understand that, but literally we live in an age of information. If you want to find out anything, it's literally at the tips of your fingers. iPad, iPhone, Android, and I'm team iPhone, Android people, you know, anyway. Your laptop, your desktop, you know, your Kindle device. If you got an Apple Watch, you can find an internet connection, log on to it, and just do a random Google search. If you Google what happened on TV last night, you can take a few minutes and Google places and places on the, you know, they have you believing that these people are living in huts and shacks and all of these things and shanty towns, you know, just like every place has a hood, you know, but that's the image that they portray, you know, like everybody is living in these quote unquote third world countries. Um, you know, when you look at the criteria of what constitutes a third world country, that would be the United States. Crumbling infrastructure, poor health care, high infant mortality, high, you know, pregnant women dying, giving childbirth, all of the things that constitute a third world country. Those are the things that are actually happening in the United States, and those other countries, they are now moved to or have moved to what's known as a developing country. Also keep in mind the ramifications of the Second World War. Basically, people who aligned with the Western Bloc, those are the ones who were deemed acceptable countries, first world countries. The other countries who did not do so, did not want to play that game, they were deemed third world countries. And that's how we ended up with this word, this term, this phrase, third world country, and this negative connotation that comes along with it because of the images that they show. So just like, you know, I can take you in some raggedy places in New Orleans. I can take you in some raggedy places in Baton Rouge. I can take you some nasty places in Miami. I can take you some nasty places in D.C. You know, you name it. Any city got its hood. Any city got its slum area. Any city has its homeless population anywhere on the planet. So don't associate those things strictly with third world countries. I know a lot of you are seeing a lot of stuff happening now. And this is basically the Great Depression 2.0. You're starting to have, you know, quasi Hoovervilles pop up. And that's another thing we talk about on another video with the housing issue. Um, with the rent moratoriums expiring and the lack of housing, and then people being priced out of homes and unable to afford reliable, stable places. You know, even, you know, places that are in, you know, raggedy neighborhoods, or less than desirable neighborhoods, are still running expensive. $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month, depending on where you at. New York, LA, Chicago, Detroit. You know, major metropolitan cities. You gonna play a lot. Even in Louisiana, you still paying, you know, $900,000 a month just for someone halfway decent. And we got some of the lowest cost of living in the country. So I can only imagine what's going on in those other cities. Anyway, so I sidetracked, but I'm back. So what I wanted to get out to you, to the masses, to my people, is that, like, I want you to experience peace. I want you to experience freedom. I cannot stress this, and it takes a while to decompress from the trauma of being black in the United States. It's one of those things, it takes several years to decompress. But once you're away from it, once you step away from it and you're not in it, not inside of it, you are outside and you are completely removed from it. It's like, you know, like you can't, there are no words to describe what that feeling feels like. And the only people who understand it are the people who have made the exodus out. I want you to connect with like-minded people. Start making your plans. Start sharing information. Start researching information. Sharing with people, joining groups. I mean, if you get on social media, you can find a black expat group, or expat is expatriate, and that's what they call immigrants from Western countries is expats, but we're immigrants. You know, I'm an immigrant. I migrated from Louisiana, which is in the United States, to Mexico. I am getting ready to start year 4 of my residency before I can hit permanent residency. My wife has temporary residency as well. Uh, she has what's known as a dependent visa. I was able to get mine through my job, and she was able to get hers through me. And so, and it can go up to, I think, the 4th degree in Mexico. So that's something to think about. You want to think about ease of obtaining residency, those types of things. Citizenship, if that's what you want. You can be a dual citizen. You don't have to renounce your citizenship in the United States. You know, none of that stuff. Just because you live in another country and have residency, hang on, take a swig. In another country doesn't mean that you're not a U.S. citizen. We still pay taxes, y'all. So yeah, we visit as well. We went to Louisiana a couple of where did we go? May. So we were there like a month and some change. We, stayed and visited family there. We went to another state and visited another family member in another state nearby, and we got to see everybody, get all the good food in. We kind of missed like all of our Louisiana food. We had to re-up on our spices because coronavirus has like messed up our re-up on our spices and everything. So the last time we had gone home was July of the previous year. So it was time it was time to re-up on those spices because we were getting pretty low on the grits and that type of situation. So also that's another thing as far as like what life is like. They don't have grits out here. They got polenta, but they don't have grits. So that's one of the things, man. We go home to see family and pick up some grits, pick up some tuna sasheries, stuff like that. Pick up the etouffee mix, the box of Louisiana seasonings. Another thing too is that the dogs are happy. Nobody bothers us here. We've been welcomed with open arms by the Mexicans that we have encountered. We're cool with quite a few. Some people, we met them as co-workers or like as taxi drivers or whatever, but they ended up becoming friends. So and it's good to help to expand your base. Because one thing about Mexicans is that when they like you, they will adopt you. So you can create a support system to help you out when you need. We recently moved to a new place, and it helps to know people, who can vouch for you, who can help you out with things. So that's another thing too. If you want to get up and go to breakfast, we live near a local market. It's tons of restaurants nearby. Tacos, you want American foods, just again, that's part of the mindset of believing you live, in Mexico and Central America, Latin America, whatever is third world country. We got a lot of the same stuff we got at home. People fall out when they see Krispy Kreme. Matter of fact, we got some Krispy Kreme in the fridge. Stopped over there the other day when we went to go check out a restaurant in a mall nearby. There's Salad Beauty Supply. We go and get our hair stuff. They got the Proclaim products, y'all. They got the Blue Magic, the Royal Crown, Bergamot, all of that stuff. We still got to get our sponges, to do the little swirl thing when we go home. But when we go home, we get like 5 or 6 at a time. So they usually last us about a year or so, year and a half or so. And you learn to adapt. You learn to adapt. You learn to adapt to things. That's part of having an open mind. It's part of having a mindset of not coming in and colonizing, but you want to assimilate into the culture. You want to learn the language. You want to learn the customs. You want to learn the traditions. And it's not easy. It's not easy by a long shot. But if you are willing and if you put forth the effort. I speak a little Spanish now. I can read Spanish. I can write a little Spanish, but I mess up stuff all the time. You know what they do? Ha ha ha. They laugh at me. They correct me, and they help me say it. Help me with my rolling my R's and those types of things to make me better. So my Spanish vocabulary now is way better than it was 3 years ago because I had not had any Spanish since high school. And in school, I took mostly French and Latin. I only took maybe a semester or so of Spanish, and that was like in ninth grade. And after that, I never touched it again. So, yeah. And who's like, I was like, I'm not gonna need Spanish. I took French in college because that was the path of least resistance. We had taken French since elementary school in Louisiana, so that was something easy for me. Um, but yeah, so that's something to think about. Um, Another thing is that you need to go somewhere knowing your directions. That helps reading with the Spanish. We do mundane things. We like the other day we ordered groceries. You can get anything delivered in Mexico. To me they're a little bit more advanced than the United States. It depends on where you are. Louisiana's a little slow with stuff, so a lot of those things didn't happen. Like before we left, Walmart didn't deliver. Even at home now, Walmart doesn't deliver. Whereas here, Walmart delivers, and we've been ordering groceries ever since we moved here. Chedraui, um, Walmart, and like the local stores and stuff. So that's something too. But it also helps you with your Spanish. One thing that we do know is food. We know all of the food in Spanish. We can order in Spanish. We can tell them what we want, what we don't want, what extra stuff we want on our food. We have got that down pat, y'all. We got that down. The other stuff we might mess up. I might cross up, words like, the word for rain and grapes are very similar, and I cross those up sometimes. So, or the word for, the weekend and the word for sheets are very similar. Samana, Sabana, I cross that up and they're like, huh, okay, what? Like, oh, see, Sabanas. Okay, yes, yes, please lead me to the sheets. um, those types of things. So, anyway, we'll be talking about a lot of that stuff as well throughout as we go through and make these videos and all of that stuff. So, what I want y'all to do is like the video, tell a friend, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you can be notified when we post new videos. Leave your comments, your questions, let me know. Try to answer them. I might not be able to answer everything, but I'll get to what I can. And just to let you know, the audiobook for We Out is currently in production, so it'll be dropping before the end of the summer. So be on the lookout for that. Once that is complete, that production is complete, then I'll leave the link for that. But I'm also going to leave the link for the book. It's available in paperback as well as ebook. So check it out. Let me know. And I look forward to chatting with you and answering your questions and all of those things. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your weekend.